podcast.
Hello and welcome to The Shimmer. I'm John Bradley.
And I'm Brian Batiste.
And if you are watching the video version, I'm just going to start every podcast with if you're watching the video version.
Are you watching?
And you're asking why we're wearing the same clothes that we were last week. It's because we tricked you and we recorded both episodes on the same day, and we have had quite a day today.
Quite a day. May I preempt all of this conversation with the fact that we are introducing a new sponsor to this podcast, and it's Quick Check and their maple pancake coffee.
It's fucking awful.
It's maple. It's pancakes. It's coffee.
So we are in the basement, and we also have been going at recording, watching movie, talking movie since like 3, and we also got some beverages before we saw a movie.
What kind of beverages, John?
The adult beverages. There's a Buffalo Wild Wings happy hour. We sound like such normie folk, but it's literally just like we are prisoners of our surroundings at certain times.
Correct.
And it's like, well, we're not going to drink and drive.
No.
But we can go get like a pitcher, smaller pitcher, not like full-size pitcher each for $5 of Miller Lite.
Yeah, I was like, they're like, oh yeah, we have $5 this. Also $5 pitchers of Miller Lite, Coors Light, Bud Light. I was like, yeah, give me that.
She was telling us all the specials for happy hour and for everything else, and my eyes were glued to the cane head high. And I also, before we walked in there, I was like, I'm just going to get a gin and something and like keep it light and just get a little loose.
You sit at the bar, there's like 30 taps, but you see the cane head high, it's like...
I was like, all right, I know the cane head high. I can get like 2 and have a great time.
Yeah.
And then she's like, $5 Miller Lights, and I completely stopped thinking. And I heard you go, yeah, do that. And I was like,
and you're like,
yeah, do that.
What he's having, I'll have what he's having.
Because like I'm usually the guy where you'll go and get like a $5 beer that fills you for the entire night.
Yeah.
And then I'm the one that's like a $60 bar tab. Like, dude, why'd you get gin all night? So today I was like, we're just gonna have a couple drinks. So I needed some caffeine after the movie so we could talk. Because it is 9:30.
Some maple pancake
and
caffeine.
We stopped into Quick Check. If you're not from the area, Quick Check is like Wawa. If you're not from the area, Wawa is like Sheetz. If you're not from the area, it's like Come and Go. If you're not from the area, it's like Buc-ee's. If you're not from the area, it's like a gas station. It's like 7-Eleven.
Words from a well-traveled man.
And they had... I was just going to get a tea, and they had a regular coffee, and then they also had maple pancake coffee.
And I must say, it's quite
it smells
pungent.
Like maple.
Quite pungent.
I put a little soy milk in it. It's not bad. Do you want to try it?
No.
It's not bad.
I don't like coffee, period.
I was going to get like like those Monster... I don't like Monster, but they have that tea, the iced tea drink.
Yeah.
It's like super low carb, and it's also iced tea. And I like that.
Those are nice.
Those aren't bad, because I don't drink iced tea otherwise, and I love the taste.
I have this orange one that's got orange juice in it.
But
it's Monster Juice.
We've been in and out of this cold dungeon, and then the movie theater was freezing.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was like, oh, fuck. I was fucking Brett Favre-ing it.
Well, I think that all movie theaters are freezing because they expect there to be a lot of people.
And
there weren't.
Yeah.
No. But it is a Thursday, and we were there at like 6 p.m. But as you can see, and as we talked about last week, and as you can see back there, we watched Creed 2, and we are going to talk about it. And we have labored ourselves not to talk about it on the way out of the theater, because normally when you go see a movie with a buddy or a parent or anything, you watch the movie, and then as you're going out, you're like, so what'd you think? We can't do that.
Wasn't that part cool?
We'll like waste everything and then get in the car and get here and be like, yeah, it was cool. We talked about it.
Disingenuous conversation. So
yeah. But if you hated the past podcast where we sit there and go, how was your week? We're not going to do it because we did that earlier.
That's true.
And we can't tell you more about the lights because they're sick, and we did them. So now we're going to talk about the movie, which is probably all you wanted. Oh, my glasses are fogging. Wait, I got a smudge on my glass.
Anywho.
So we saw Creed 2.
I guess there'll be elements of Creed I could talk about too, because I actually watched Creed for the first time yesterday in preparation for today. So much like with, well, I'd already seen the first Wreck-It Ralph, but I did watch the first one again before going to see the second one, and it leads to a more wholesome experience.
I also told the viewers and the audience listeners that I would do a Rocky franchise podcast, which I then said no to because it seemed like off weight, off balance for me to do all of them. and you not to have any fucking idea.
Yeah.
Because at least with the Halloween one, you like had seen a good amount and you'd read the Wikipedias. But Creed and Creed 2 is a great way for me to like sprinkle in any of that information.
Yeah, 100%. So
what did you think of Creed?
I liked it. There were moments, and again, maybe it's just like it wasn't so much in Creed 2, which we'll get to obviously. But Rocky was very much like the bewildered, like comedic old man at moments in the first movie. Like he's like, "Oh, what's going on here? Oh, the generation. Even though I've been living in Philadelphia my entire life, I just kept my head under the rock and look at all this crazy technology." Ooh.
Well, because he had like his restaurant and all of that
Named
stuff.
after
Yeah.
Adrian.
Yeah.
Like just to pull a moment out that stuck with me was when Creed has
Yes.
finally beaten Rocky in the submission to like, yo, train me, please.
Yes.
Do something. And Rocky gives up at some point after constantly rejecting him, being like, no. And he writes out a training regiment for him on a piece of paper. And Creed just like, all right, cool. Takes a picture and does a couple things. And he's like, all right, man, see you later. And Rocky's like, oh, don't you need this? He's like, I got it right here on my phone. And he's like, Rocky's like, oh, what if you break your phone? Don't you want the paper with the stuff? And he's like, nah, man, I got it. It's in the cloud. And he runs away. And then they cut back to a shot of Rocky, and he looks bewildered at his hands, and looks up in the sky and goes, "Cloud, what cloud?" And I was like, oh, Rocky.
I don't know much about Sylvester Stallone as a human being.
What cloud?
Like nowadays, but he definitely knows how to play the like stupid brain damage. Like all of my friends are dead, and all I care about now is like my restaurant and just making people happy.
Oh, he's very calculated.
As a human being, or like in Rocky, as Rocky.
I mean, I guess it translates as Rocky. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, no, like he has to be a smart guy.
I've seen the karate. This is the Karate Kid with Rocky.
Because he's also writing these.
Yes.
Like that's the thing that I keep forgetting is that like he's writing this.
I mean, who's more in touch with the franchise and the characters than him?
Well, that's the thing. So with Creed, he didn't write it, I don't think. I'm pretty sure it was just Ryan Coogler.
Let me see.
The original Creed. It's different for this one.
Because Sylvester Stallone did do the screenplay with Jewel Taylor.
Joel Santana. I'm 18 and I live a crazy life. Ma, what's your age and type?
Yeah, he was not.
Sure, you're right.
Stallone was not in the. He was a producer.
Get in the car. Don't touch nothing.
Screenplay by Ryan Coogler and Aaron Covington.
Yeah.
For Creed 1.
He didn't do anything in that, and that was like the first where he didn't have a hand in it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was like...
Which maybe is why he lacks that comedic, like, oh, I don't know what the hell's going on, but I'm going to go with it because today's technology, ooh. Like,
I think it's perfect for the first one. So the one thing I
he's
saw...
more Sensei Rocky in this one.
Yeah. The one thing I saw for this movie was it was less of a Creed sequel and more of a Rocky sequel.
Yes.
And that scared me. But I don't know that I agree. Because you get so much more of Adonis Creed and Bianca Taylor and Mary Ann Creed that you didn't get in the first one.
Yeah, I mean...
Like, they further the Adonis Creed story.
There's moments... I mean, again, it's like really... The way I was kind of thinking, there's moments in this movie I laughed out loud at like the overall, like the cheesiness kind of thing, but it's like I'm watching a Rocky universe movie. It's really what's going to happen. But it was interesting to see how they took, like, the thing that we all make fun of today, like, oh, like the 80s action movie, like the guy gets beaten down. Now you have to watch him, like, train to come back and overcome his demons. It was that mixed with, like, real world, modern day kind of stuff. So it was more grounded in reality. So, like, you're not like, oh my God, this movie is such a cheeseball movie.
Right.
Like, there's just moments where I'm like, okay, it's fun. It's Rocky.
So I didn't get that. I get sucked in. If it's done well, like I go to the movies at my core to escape my normal day, to just enjoy a film.
Yes.
And I love movies like this because they are so over the top. And there is that redemption story of somebody that let their ego get the best of them and then came back for better. And I loved it. I thought like everything was done to perfection, even more than Creed 1. I loved the tie-in of Rocky's story. I loved the tie-in of Adonis himself. Mm-hmm. And I also love how much more of a frontal figure Tessa Thompson's character Bianca was. Like,
yes.
So I think a lot of it was cheesy, but it was done so well and with so much heart that like you would laugh and I'd be like, nah, dude, I'm about to cry.
Yeah, I was like,
Like, there were points during it where I was like, the way they shot it, the way it looks cinematographically, the way that it looks like visually, and just how it vibes hit me hard. Like, when she comes out and sings his opening music at the end,
I laughed at that.
you laughed. I was like, yo, this is so cool.
Only because one thing I've noticed throughout both of those movies is there is such elaborate production into these boxer entrances that you would never see. We watched the biggest boxing fights there was, and the production doesn't touch that. It was so, I'm like, that's where I was kind of like,
But I like
okay.
that.
Yeah, I mean,
like
it was
that.
cool. It looks cool, but I was like, come on.
Like, I will go to a movie and be like, I want this to be as real life is. And then I go to a movie like this and I'm like, give me your larger than life personas and give me your larger than life moments. Because, like, I bet you every boxer who watches this wants their entrances to be as cool as that.
What's really odd is the central, they use like the HBO boxing crew.
Yeah.
There's no more HBO boxing now. It's gone.
I saw that as
So I
well.
was kind of thinking, I'm like, this is the last thing I'm ever going to see with
Yeah.
HBO boxing.
I thought that was crazy. I also think it's crazy because I know Max Kellerman from just like First Take in ESPN, and I
Yeah.
always forget how in depth his career is.
He took Cowherd's place, right?
I
Yeah,
didn't
it was
actually
Colin
know.
Cowherd and Stephen A. Smith. and
He
then
took
left.
Skip Bayless's place. I
Skip
think.
Bayless. That's it. Yeah. I mixed those two
But,
up. They're
like,
both annoying.
I always forget how much he actually did have a history in boxing and like how he does commentary.
Yeah.
Because there were moments in that film, and this is another thing that's crazy. Like, you brought up how your dad brought up the people running up the rocky stairs while they're living in this like fake and fiction and real world.
That was not as obnoxious of a scene as I thought it was going to be, but I still was kind of like,
But something that really made me think in the film was like, Max Kellerman is a real commentator, and this happens a lot. Like, you saw the Scott Van Pelt scene, you saw a couple other scenes like that, where it's like, these are real video talents or TV talents for like ESPN or whatever.
yeah.
And they're also having to play a character of themselves for this film.
Like an alternate reality. Like I'm fine with that being like taking place in like whatever that Rock universe, like present day, all that, but it should be all that minus the fact that the Rocky movies existed. Because I get what you were saying, like,
But
oh yeah,
Rocky
he still
is
runs the
Rocky.
Rocky steps, but yeah, but no one else knows he does that fucking thing and celebrates the same way he does.
No, okay, so this is the thing where it benefited me to watch all of them. He says in one of them, and I think it was Creed 1, that he's been running those steps since he was 12.
Okay.
So like it became a thing. And then the thing in like Rocky Balboa and in Creed 1 is it like he at Adrian's, I think it was more in Rocky Balboa, at Adrian's he would literally just like have a dinner party and he would just tell them stories about his history.
Gotcha.
Like the whole idea of Adrian's was like people would come in, eat, be excited to be in the presence of Rocky and in the presence of like the photos on the wall. And he would come over and be like, hey, you guys doing okay? And they would ask him questions like, tell us about when you fought Apollo, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So like, it is like, it's not crazy to think that people would know about him running the steps.
Like I said, it wasn't so obnoxiously blatant of a thing where it was like, we're mimicking a movie. So I was like, all right, whatever.
Because they also originally had the statue at the top of the steps.
Yes.
Yeah. But that's what I mean.
Whoever
Like
had to move that shit down there.
they
Ugh.
intertwine so much of like real boxing and real stuff that I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. Like how much of this is like people that actually work in the boxing field having to come over and play in a fictional movie about Apollo Creed.
Mm-hmm.
Also really funny is they had the one shot of the belt, like Donnie was looking at it after he wins it, and it was like a photo of Rocky and a photo of Apollo, as if like
Yeah, I was like,
only those two men have held the belt ever. I think the funny thing that you would like about Rocky Balboa, I don't mean to cut you off, is that in Balboa, it's like one of the most true points of boxing in this day. And they kind of touch on it when Buddy says, like, I don't like where our sport has gone, but this is the name of the game.
'cause now it's all like,
It's shitty. But
Yeah.
like the whole thing in Balboa is that the champ has like beaten everybody, very like Mayweather style.
Yeah.
And there's no contender that can actually like push him to his limits. And the whole thing is like, yo, boxing's dying. And that's like the closest they've been to like, this is how boxing is now.
it's a circus now. I mean, there's how many fights have I watched? Like, oh, this is a big fight. I'm going to watch it. I'm like, how did that guy win? Mm-hmm. Or even like Pacquiao versus that dude in Australia.
Yeah.
Pacquiao clearly won. And it was like,
I mean, we saw the Mayweather fight, and I think it came out to us being like, we don't understand boxing.
no.
And I love the way that this movie brings in boxing because I don't need to understand boxing to get it. Not that there's like a movie where it's like, I don't get it. I don't know boxing. But like I can't get over going from the Rocky movies and any other like boxing movie we've seen, because there have been a lot. I can't get over how good the visuals were for the fights.
Yes.
Like, there's something about their characters that they were able to do, whether it's CGI or something, where it was so smooth and clear. Like, everything was so in focus and pleasing to the eye.
Yeah.
Even down to, like, when he enters, and, like, we appreciate this because we've been to wrestling stuff and we see, like, the light changing and shit. But, like, Donnie enters at the very end and you see the lights, which look like bars around the ring.
Mm-hmm.
And then you see the color temperature change to like more of a natural, like, all right, here's a fight. I loved that shit. I geeked out hard over that.
Yeah, like when he would get knocked down and everything kind of...
And the camera would follow him down?
Yeah, and like grayed out. And then like when he's like, get up, and he like pounds the mat and gets back up, then it went back to like reality kind of.
And they did such good work with like audio play, where like the one scene where it's him doing rehab in the pool, and Marianne and Bianca are talking about him needing to get himself out of that hole.
He'd hit underwater. It was like...
And you would hear it. Oh, I love that shit.
Yeah, the audio stuff I kept focusing. Even like certain soundtrack stuff when there was that one like crazy vocal panning over the sound. We saw this in Dolby Cinema, so like that's audio porn for moviegoers. I mean, we talk about it constantly, but like most movies I pretty much only see in Dolby.
Yeah, like... Even a movie where I don't really care about it, I'm like, well, if I'm going to see... Like, we saw A Quiet Place.
If you're going to see it, you might as well see it in Dolby. Yeah.
If it's in Dolby. I am, like, trying to think of things I didn't like, and I can't think of a single thing, but if you can...
Bianca moved on up, huh? I mean, she went from playing Johnny Brenda's to the Fillmore.
That was fun.
Which that was cool for me in the first... I was like, wait. When Donnie's walking in to watch her show, and I'm like, that's Johnny Brenda's. I saw John there.
And that's a thing, like... Friends that I know in Philly,
they were faithful to the Philadelphia filming location. They weren't just like going to some hot shop places, or
like they were legit filming in Philly.
They weren't filming in like Montreal and saying it was Philly,
right? And I like Michael B. Jordan has done so many interviews while he was filming Creed 1 and then Creed 2. I thought it took more place in Philly because the way he was like talking about filming, because he was doing like press tour for Black Panther while filming Creed 1, all that stuff. Yeah. He was like listing off like his favorite restaurants and shit in Philly. Mm-hmm. He's very like, oh, I love it. And Coogler I think is from the Bay Area. I forget. But I like that Ryan Coogler was still attached to this.
Oakland, California.
Okay, yeah, Bay Area. I don't know much about the new director. I know that there was fear for two reasons. One, when it wasn't Coogler doing this, and two, when Stallone said he wanted to bring in Drago's character. I didn't feel like that was a bad thing.
He's named by Forbes in 2017 as one of the 30 under 30 in Hollywood and entertainment, because he's 30 years old. He won HBO's short film competition in 2013 for A Different Tree student film. His feature film debut was The Land, debuted at 2016 Sundance. It tells the story of four teenage boys who devote their summer to escaping the streets of Cleveland to pursue a dream of life of professional skateboarding.
Oh, The Land, Cleveland.
He recently wrote HBO's high-profile Emmett Till project, produced by Will Smith, Casey Affleck, and Jay-Z. 6-episode miniseries is adapted from Devery Anderson's 2015 biography, Emmett Till, The Murder That Shocked the World and Propelled the Civil Rights Movement. His next film...
Land of Misfits. I think that was supposed to be good.
He did Creed 2, blah, 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 blah.
I think that this is like a common thing that we're seeing. And I mean, it worked for Ryan Coogler, where it's these people that are making like indie films that are hits and talked about. And then they get picked to do like a big blockbuster with a huge budget. And like, I think that this happens a lot and they kind of bomb. And I can't stress enough how hard it is for a director to go from like, all right, I worked this project with like maybe 40 to 50 people with like $1 million or like even $10 million to like, oh, now I'm working with thousands of people and like producers that are my boss over boss over boss with $500 million, and I have to be the one that's like at the helm of it. And like, it works for a lot of people and it doesn't work for a couple others.
One thing that I kind of whispered to you in the theater.
Yeah.
And this is where I was kind of like, I love this movie, but I was kind of like, when I realized he was in a rush into a first confrontation with Victor. And I was
So
like,
I went pee during this.
yeah, I was like, oh fuck, the fight's already happening. Like, all right, so he's gonna get jacked up. I didn't know he was gonna be I didn't know Victor was gonna get disqualified, and then
That
Creed
was
would be able to
cool.
keep the belt. I was like, I was just like, I wish they would have built this really much to the end, and then I wouldn't really know what was gonna happen. Because in this, I was like, okay, I know what's gonna happen.
But that's kind of the thing. I was thinking about that during the second fight between them.
Much like I watch wrestling, I love watching wrestling. But
Yeah.
at the same time, there's multiple things I can just call out before it happens, and I love it when those moments happen where I'm like, I did not fucking see that coming.
And I thought that with the DQ.
Yeah.
During the second fight, when you know or you have an idea that he's going to win, the one thing that I think with the Rocky franchise that they get away with is they don't always win.
No.
Like in Creed 1, he doesn't beat
Split decision.
What's his face?
Yeah. Split decision, but he gets
Yeah.
he gets the acknowledgement from his opponent, like, you're the future of this division.
Right. And then like in the Rocky franchise, there are a handful of times he does not win.
Yeah.
So I like was sitting there like, all right, he's probably going to win, but I want to see how he does it. It's kind of like watching old franchises from the beginning, and you're like, I know that Tom Cruise isn't going to die because there are 5 more Mission Impossibles, but how does he get out of this one?
Also, I know Creed was training in Los Angeles and left without Rocky for this first fight.
Yes.
Where did that fight happen? Was it Vegas?
I don't know because I went pee, and I'm assuming it was either LA or Vegas.
So it was weird to me, which was I whispered to you, is he gets jacked up and gets hit while he's down on the ground and gets like broken orbital bones, all that kind of stuff. He gets rushed to the hospital, and Rocky shows up in the hospital. And I was like, how the fuck did you get there that quickly if
So
it was across the country? Because I know his earlier fight was at Barclays Center.
It was in,
Or was this fight at Barclays Center? I don't know.
I don't know. I know that Rocky turns it off, and I think you also just have to assume that like Rocky knows enough people and enough people are reaching out to Rocky because like
He's apprehensive to travel. And when he finally goes to LA to visit Creed, he took a train and it took him 3 days. That's where I was like,
so maybe the first Drago fight was Barclays.
okay, yeah. Wikipedia doesn't tell me. I missed that. I don't
'Cause
know if
I
I
don't
mixed
remember-
it up or not. I think it was Barclays. That would make sense then.
I don't remember where the Wheeler fight was. That I don't know, but I also feel like Rocky had to have traveled. I thought that
They
one,
couldn't have that much of an
right.
a misstep and then have him like make it a point that like, yeah, it took me 3 days on the train. You think a lot when you take that ride.
Yeah, I think that it was weird. I just assumed that it was like, all right, well, it's movie magic to get Rocky out here, and also like Rocky is more or less a cartoon character that is constantly wearing the same outfit.
Yeah.
So like
Yo.
so like there's,
Bianca, yo, and Rocky, yo,
there's so much subtext in that
yo.
But like there's one time where somebody's doing some fucked up shit, he just goes yo to Ivan
Yo.
Drago. But like I don't know, that's just one thing where I was like, all right, yeah, like what the fuck. But also this dude is also coming back from broken ribs, so like I'm just gonna throw it out.
It was cool to see they took the route with Ivan Drago that it's like he's really bullying his kid to avenge his loss,
Yes.
and it's consumed him.
That's what I was
gonna
get into.
Like, it's fucked with him for so long, and then they get into it like, hey, everyone left us, and no one, betrayed. Like they're in like what, the Ukraine now?
They went to the Ukraine because so in the 4th Rocky movie, which is Drago, he is like brought around and flaunted as this like beast who can take on any American wrestler or boxer, because for the longest time Russia wasn't allowed to compete with American boxers.
Yeah.
And finally they can, and they've been working this machine up, and they like tout him as the greatest ever that could easily take down everybody. He kills Apollo Creed, which is wild to me that even happens.
Yeah.
And no trial.
Because Rocky wouldn't throw in the towel.
So they play that up as Rocky wouldn't throw in the towel, but they don't really talk much about how like there is a scene where Rocky said, I'm going to stop this, and and Apollo says don't. So that's like the thing where like Apollo,
That's the running theme. I mean, the boxer's never going to be like, yo, I quit.
yeah, but like Apollo like said like I want to quit or don't ever stop this, because it's like it was a whole thing that was leading up over the course of those movies where it was like he knew that his fame was dying because of Rocky, and they were still buds, but he was also like, oh man.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this before we saw the movie. Drago's painted as this like bad guy, but except for like one line, he barely speaks in Rocky 4, and he doesn't really seem like a bad guy. More as just like a soldier to the people that are pushing him around, including his wife.
Which whoa, Bridget Nielsen being in that movie. I was like, what?
I popped. I was like,
whoa.
And the way they shot
Way
it.
to let bygones be bygones, Rocky.
The way they shot it with her coming and you only see the reflection of her blonde, like crew cut or short hair.
I was like, oh shit. We both looked at each other like, whoa.
They unveiled some crazy shit that I was so surprised by. Like just the way that the camera work in that is just amazing.
Yeah.
But so there was a big conversation about like if Stallone brings in the Drago character, does it hurt the franchise of Creed if you're looking at Creed outside of Rocky? I don't think it did. And I think if anything, it almost like it added to the Creed legacy where now it's like, all right, well now we've answered the question of like, did he avenge his father's death?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. And
he didn't do it for him.
Right. And he says it. And also it allows you to see like the smart younger generation in Victor Drago being like, what are we doing this for, Dad? Like all these people left you and ignored you and like kicked you out of your country. And now you're like back there kissing their ass.
Desperate to get back. And he's like, what's wrong with you?
And then at the end though, I felt so bad for Victor when they leave, like halfway through him getting his ass handed to him.
Yeah, which I saw that coming. You could see because like her whole body language changes from like yes to like
but I didn't think they would leave. And then I didn't. That's another thing. Like you figured that Adonis would win, but I didn't know how it would end. And I did not actually.
When they were like, he's not going to give up, I was like, here we go. He's going to throw in the towel.
I didn't see that coming.
Yeah.
But I was so enthralled in the story that like, that's what I love about that type of movie making where like my like, how do they make this thing shuts off and I'm just fully into it. Like, that's why I love Transformers. Like it sucks, but also I stopped thinking about how to make a movie.
More interestingly though, obviously the first fight happens and Creed gets destroyed, but in this one, it's very much more even, and it's kind of just comes down to like who's gonna drop first. It's not like a big decisive victory outside of that final, like it's the final round where Creed takes over, and the way they build.
So this kind of happened while you were in the bathroom because you went to the bathroom and to get Bunch of Crunch.
Yes.
So Rocky comes to the hospital and they're talking and he's like, "Yo, you showed a lot of heart, all that stuff," and like Adonis is just like, I don't want to hear it. Like, this is like, don't talk to me right now. And Rocky's like, why did you think you could take him with your natural style? Like, he's got more of a reach. He's got all this other stuff. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, now you want to be my trainer after I got beat, like all this stuff. So I think that's more where they were playing to like the first one, he gets demolished. But then he goes and trains.
Yeah, like the Rocky
style.
effect. He's like, his neck has a six pack by the time he's done training in the middle of like the road.
Which is a thing that they do.
Yeah,
that is a thing that I've heard that like boxers and MMA dudes do because if you can
100%.
get a stronger neck, you don't get knocked out. Not always, but
it was more so because the shot when he's like ready to walk out for the last fight, he has neck wrinkles. I was leaving like his neck has a six pack.
Did you say that? I didn't even hear it.
I didn't say. I was going to be like, I'll save that for the podcast.
But that's also a thing that I like about Rocky, that it is like a whole like, oh, they got beaten down and here's the redemption story. But also often they're like, yo, the way that you box isn't going to beat this guy. Learn a new thing for your arsenal, which like as MMA fans, I feel like we can enjoy where it's like, oh, that guy's a striker, but he's going to go up against a dude who grapples or does jujitsu. Like, they have to learn a new facet.
The way I interpreted this end, though, because not like there was many words said with the Dragos throughout this entire movie, but obviously Ivan throws in the towel for his son, assures him that it's okay, but then by the end of the movie, you're seeing both of them in like another montage, like running and training with each other. Mm-hmm. I would not be surprised if they just lean towards that again for Creed 3.
I wouldn't...
Assuming there is a Creed 3, which I figure there has to be.
There has to be a Creed 3. I hope that there is, because I want to know more about this deaf baby. That was heartbreaking.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised by that.
Oh, that scene...
That would suck. I don't know we're watching Mr. Holland's Opus, but they anticipated it versus...
Well, also just the way that they handled the son in general... and then seeing the grandkid, all of that stuff was just heartbreaking. And
that was the one moment it feels where I was like, oh yeah, when Rocky goes and shows up at his kid's doorstep, and
I feel like
he has like that old man Rocky tear, and it's just like,
yeah, they do a really good job of having so many different subplots. But by the end of it, you're like, yo, this is a story about a father and a son in multiple facets, because you have like the Dragos, the Balboas, and then fucking at that exact same time as you see that, it's Adonis going to Apollo's grave with his family.
Yeah.
I I don't think it would be like Drago and or like Pop and Son Drago versus like Rocky and Adonis.
Yeah.
But I could see like him popping up in another way because like the thing with Ivan is like he got like thrown out, and that's why you don't see him in any of the other ones.
Yeah.
I don't even remember what happens in 5. Who does Rocky fight in 5?
Isn't that Mr. T?
Rocky doesn't fight anyone in 5. I should know this because I have fought so many of my friends that I think that Rocky 5 is one of the best. Rocky trains a kid in 5 because Rocky has brain damage from Ivan Drago.
Yeah, that's right. Remember you saying they get into that more.
That's why when he says like that dude broke things that still haven't been fixed, he has a brain damage that like that's why he stopped fighting. The only reason he fights in Balboa is because Adrian's dead. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, what do I have to live for? Like, this is my passion.
I'll probably watch that at some point.
It's actually good. I remember people say, I think that the problem is if you're a bro that goes into Rocky looking for a fight boxing movie and you're watching anything past 3 or 4.
This is more like The Wrestler, but with
yes,
Rocky.
It's like him living a life. So in 4 or 5, he loses all of his money because Paulie puts his money with an accountant that like does him dirty. Loses all of it, has to go back to Philly.
God damn it, Paulie.
Literally cannot fight because he has brain damage and he has a kid now. And Adrian's like, fuck no, you've gone back on your word so many times. Meets this kid from Oklahoma and manages him. It's the first time you see Rocky as a manager, not counting like Apollo Creed helping. And he never actually has an in-ring fight. Instead, he has a brawl in Philly at the very end that is wildly fun.
Okay.
It's so tight. And it's the first time you see him actually deal with his problems because the entire series, he's just getting better and better and like ignoring it. Like Mickey dies in 3. He barely talks about it in 4. Apollo dies in 4. He just keeps going. He's like, says a couple things, but 5 is where they're like really wacky, like hallucination scenes because of the brain damage where he'll just like have a seizure and then have like thoughts of Mickey, thoughts of Apollo, like all this shit.
It hits him all at once.
And there's so much depth to it where it's like, he ends up treating this kid he's managing like he should be treating his kid. And his kid is always like, Dad, let's play catch. And he's like, no, not right now. And that gives into even more about like the weird relationship he has with Robert.
Yeah.
But I don't think... I'd like to see more like the way that they did it with Creed 2. Like you met some boxers in Creed 1 and then they came back for like another round or 2.
Yeah.
Like the Wheeler, the trainer who's the son of Apollo's trainer. Mm-hmm. I'd like to see Victor just like hanging out somewhere. I don't think it makes sense to drop him.
No, yeah, because again, that fight was so even. It could have went either way.
Yeah.
So.
And that is kind of what happens with Apollo. Like Apollo did do Rocky 2. That's where they do the rematch. And then Rocky 3, they have that secret fight, which they bring up in Creed 1, where it's like, I heard you guys had a fight with nobody around. Who won? And he's like, Apollo.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the way that they handled the kid who plays Victor doing promotional run, like there were some promotional interviews where it was just Michael B. Jordan and this kid sitting next to each other. I would imagine he's like long-term guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I liked it. I liked Creed 2 better than Creed 1.
Yeah. I did like it when I first saw Creed. So I never saw Creed because I never thought that Rocky was cool. And then I saw Creed and was like blown away. And then watching all the Rockies and seeing Creed again, I was like doubly blown away. And now seeing Creed 2, I was like, that's amazing.
Amazing.
That's amazing. What are we at, like 30?
Yeah, I have no clue because I tacked it on the end of the last session, so.
Oh, 20.
Probably.
But I really liked it.
It's definitely more than that. But.
There's like not much more because I don't really.
No, there's nothing more.
It's like
I enjoy
easy.
it. If you like the other Rocky movies, it definitely is.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the better of the Rocky movies.
Oh, I think that you can't even compare them. Like, I just think that they're
It's
done.
Yeah.
Like, it is funny how, like, when we have movies like Hostile that we don't like, we can just kind of, like, poke at them. And then when we have movies where we really like them.
I really like this, and that's it.
good.
I like it. You should just see it.
Yeah, like, I can sit here and tell you all of the shots I liked and how cool and visual it was. I really like the walkout scenes. I know that it's not like it is, but I love their light
I like
play.
them, but I am kind of like, yeah.
Well, I mean, there was the one with Connor.
The fucking, like, dot thing going around.
Oh, I loved that. I loved it. I geeked out over that. I love, like, light play like that, especially in movies, especially because it's, like, Dolby and the image is so big and good.
Yeah. Way more gooder.
It's, like, way more gooda.
Way more than your traditional theater. Yes, the projector is still on.
Well, I mean, like, I feel like people in MMA and boxing would like to have stuff like that or think in their minds that it's that. And I think
sooner that combat sports just embraces the fact that like professional wrestling is as huge as it is for a reason, and you can pick little elements out to emphasize your own product, just do it. I mean, the best UFC already does.
Dude, Conor had a fight where he had Sinead O'Connor come out and sing a song as his walkout.
Yeah. Those are the moments everyone talks about the most. And the most pro wrestling part of it.
And also the other cool thing is that those walkouts allow you to get into the mind of that fighter in the movie. Like, you literally get to be like, oh, okay, I'm walking out with Michael B. Jordan or with Victor Drago.
Yeah.
What is that squeal?
I don't know.
But yeah, that's Creed 2. It's really fucking good. Go see it. It should still be out by the time this comes out because it's blowing away the box office.
Yes. And that and Wreck-It Ralph too.
And I'm going to go see
tomorrow.
I'm going to try and go see that the midday by myself in Dolby.
Dude, it's pretty good. Pretty
Dolby
emotional.
It is amazing. Did you saw it in 3D?
Yes.
How did you like it in 3D?
I loved it. Those are the only movies I do want to see in 3D.
Would you recommend going and seeing it in 3D?
Yes.
Because I could probably go see it in...
It's fun. It's like those movies have so much depth
3D.
to them. It's in that movie, there's shit whizzing around everywhere. I mean, it's not like... And I always tell people, like, there's some movies where they just like, whoa, 3D in your face. This is more just like you're looking through glass.
Friday the 13th, the 3.
Yeah, it's happening on the other side. You're just looking through a window and there's crazy shit happening. I like that depth.
Maybe... So you saw it without seeing the original, right?
No, I had seen the original, and I rewatched the original 2 days before going to see the new one.
Do you think someone of old age could go see it without seeing the original?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a totally separate... I mean, there's obviously characters that are there, but the relationship isn't explained as much.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, who the fuck is that? Why is that there?
Okay, because my dad is like super interested in it, and I feel like if I go, I should at least be like, yo, do you want to go see it?
Yeah.
Do you want to go see it?
I don't think you have to have seen the first one, but it definitely obviously aids.
I could also like give him a brush up of like, yeah, dude, so he's in this video game and then she's in this video game and then they do video game stuff. It's cool.
Are you aware of the plot? Like, oh, here's what's happening in this movie.
Me?
Yeah.
I saw the
new
original.
One. I'm saying the new one.
Oh, they go to the internet.
Why?
Because Ralph is like living and happy and stable, and Vanellope is like, yo, we got to get crazy.
Yeah, her game, the wheel breaks. That's just the regular plot. It's like the thing.
The wheel breaks?
A kid breaks the wheel, and they need to go to the internet to get another one because the parts aren't made for that company anymore.
Wait, on the video game? What?
Correct.
Oh, like the wheel,
real life
like
physical video game is broken.
The steering wheel.
They need to go to the internet to find a replacement part because it's not available anywhere else.
Do you know something that I love?
Product placement and brands galore.
Do you know something I love? That we had such an in-depth conversation about how people are running the Rocky steps in Creed, which breaks the fourth wall of like, did Rocky really happen? All this shit. Mm-hmm. But not once are we having that conversation about the fact that Vanellope's game Sugar Rush in an arcade breaks a steering wheel, and Vanellope, a character in the game, has to go to the internet to get the wheel for real life Sugar Rush game that the arcade owner should have gotten on his own.
The arcade owner is old. And again, this isn't giving anything away. He's like, oh, we broke this. Well, that company shut down a couple years ago, and there's no way I'm going to be able to get this. And the kid that broke it is like, oh, yeah, we'll just go on the internet. And they're like, oh, good luck finding that. And they're like, no, it's right here on eBay for this much money. And the guy's like, what?
Does the arcade owner go? But do you see what I'm saying? It's just funny.
Well, I mean, that's established in the first movie that
it's
video
wild.
Game characters are inside looking out and being like, we're doing this is our job. You put the quarter in, we got to get to work.
Which I thought is amazing. I
watch
love
the
that.
sunrise every day through the thing.
And he would look at Vanellope.
Hear how this is sounding progressively weirder in our headphones as the session goes on?
Yes.
That doesn't mean it sounds weird in there, but it does in our ears.
The latency.
It's probably because the computer's starting to work overtime.
And this happens whenever we're editing.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, it's all right. It's...
Because it goes to... this is 59.94.
Yeah.
And that's just 1.1, baby.
Yeah.
I love that I started a whole new video for like the last minute, but it works better than putting the image over it. But
Squint.
thank you so much for watching this. I'm gonna go cry about Donnie going to his dad's grave for the first time ever.
And I'm gonna go be fly like a G6.
Because he sat in seat G6. Thank you so much. We are the Shimmer. We'll be back eventually. I don't know why I said eventually. It'll be like a week for you. We got to figure out what we're doing for Christmas.
Should we do a Christmas movie?
Yeah, but like, what do we do? Like, I don't really want to do It's a Wonderful Life.
Ugh.
Shit sucks.
No, to me, a Christmas movie is like Home Alone 2, Lost
Yo.
in New York.
You know what we should do?
What?
We should do this with Lindsay. I think she would love it.
What?
The Holiday with Kate Winslet, Jack Black, Jude Law, and a fourth person that I should remember.
A romantic comedy set during Christmas time?
It is one I saw on a date when John Bradley was in 12th grade, and it is actually not bad.
Ooh.
And I've talked to people that are like, The Holiday. Okay. The Holiday. It's Christmas Eve, and we are going to go celebrate being young and being alive. 2 women, 1 Cameron Diaz from America, and 1 Kate Winslet from Britain, swap homes at Christmas time after bad breakups with their boyfriends. Each woman finds romance with a local man, Jude Law and Jack Black,
Hell
who realizes that the imminent return home may end the relationship.
That sounds magical.
Starring Cameron Diaz, Kate Winslet, Jude Law, and Jack Black. Written... Directed by Nancy Myers, who also directed The Parent Trap, Intern.
I was
What
literally going to say, is this
Women
not
Want?
The Parent Trap for adults?
Yo, how about that trailer for What Men Want?
What man want,
Something's Gotta
what
Give.
man need.
It's Complicated. Written by Nancy Myers, the writer of Intern, The Parent Trap.
Ew.
Yo, we need to watch that for a fucking podcast. I thought about this during Thanksgiving because I was like, yo.
You watched Hostiles. What's the least I could do?
Dude. No, like, I'm just thinking, like, instead of doing Home Alone or fucking, if we're going to do a Home Alone, it has to be the one without Macaulay Culkin.
Home Alone 3.
Because it would just be so funny to be like, this is a travesty.
Home Alone 3.
Let's watch Toy Soldiers or whatever that fucking movie is.
Small Soldiers?
Where they all come to life.
Dude, Small Soldiers. I haven't seen that movie since, like...
It's dark.
Yeah.
But I would totally watch The Holiday with you.
Okay.
It's very Christmassy.
Make it a date.
It's Christmassy.
Okay.
Okay. We're the Shimmer. Follow us, Shimmer Podcast, on Twitter, on Instagram. Email us at shimmerpodcast@gmail.com and tell us how much you want us to watch The Holiday.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Go visit your fathers if you have a good relationship, and if not,
Kiss them on the lips.
kiss them on the lip.